Hello everyone, this is FIDE Master Viktor Neustroev, and today we conduct our first official ChessLance Tournament. And this is where you play for money. There are three money prizes. The first one is $100, the second one is $50, and the third is $25. The people who score, who gets the fourth and the fifth place can claim a 1 hour class with a FIDE Master, one of our coaches from our school. Okay, so just a second, I will be sharing. Oh, there are a few games already played. So let's look at some of them. For example, this game, Upwards and Onwards, is actually our leader. Well, actually, he has the highest rating. So let's look at his game. So what can we notice in this position? The material is equal. White is 2 pawns down, actually, but these are the H pawns, so it's fine. But of course, I like how white pieces are located. Okay, so knight g5. Well, of course, we are going to analyze some other games. Well, actually, in fact, I believe black has some chances to, if only they can activate these bishops, they have some chances. But now the pawn on c6 is hanging. Let's actually look at the other game. So this is our official event. So, for example, this one. Looks like it's a FIDE Master playing with black pieces. It's the end game, which in my opinion is approximately equal. The e4 pawn is hanging, but if king takes e4 right away, it's bishop f5. Oh, something went wrong. Okay, looks like everything works. So c3 was played, and now white is threatening to take the pawn on e4. But now the bishop comes and attacks the pawn. However, if bishop c2, it's e3 with a temper. Yeah, this is a mistake, because this move is played. And this is how black may win, because bishop takes here. Yeah, you see? And e2, the pawn is promoted. This is what white missed, and unfortunately, that's why white loses the game now. Okay, yeah, black wins. Okay, what else do we have? This game is still playing. White won. Okay, let's check what happened here. So I remember knight e7 was played. Knight takes there. So king f7 was a mistake because it allowed white to deliver a fork. And not only, yeah, king e6 was another mistake, and this is how white won the game. Okay. What else do we have here? So yeah, there are just a few games that are not played. For example, this one. White is of course winning here. Okay, 2 games and then the second round will be played. Today we have 7 rounds, and after that I'm going to check all the games for cheating and then announce the winners. So probably I announce the winners tomorrow, on Monday. Okay, checkmate here. Okay, so you see here we have a lot of Canadians and even one international master from India playing. Wow. Okay, so the next round starts, and let's look at the game of leaders. Bishop b5. I've never seen this opening before. Let's go back and quickly check it. So c6. Wow. Knight f3. Well, it's Vienna game. c6. Knight e5. Yes, actually I know this position with reversed colors when black plays when white plays the similar position as black, but comparing to that position they have one extra tempo. So here I think white is much better actually. Okay, so let's look at the game. It's bishop b2. Well, white is better, but their only task is to castle. Okay, looks like this game isn't a big problem. Let's quickly check what happens on the second board, where Maximus' brother is playing against upwards and onwards. Well, I think black is slightly better in this position. They have a better pawn structure, and the bishop in the center successfully blocking these 2 pawns. Bishop g5 is a clever move, but queen should just retreat to e6, and that's enough. Queen went to d6, which is fine. So I actually believe that here white plan should be to attack on the queen side, but I'm not sure if it's possible. So probably something like rook b1 or rook c1 should be played. Bishop a3 looks good, but bishop takes bishop, and if queen d3, queen a7. So king b8, and now black is threatening with bishop takes bishop and then to capture on d3. Okay, yeah, thank you for the link for the tournament. It's here, and if you want, you can join, but you start with the third round. This is round number 2, and we see some exciting game. I believe here white is losing on time. That's actually the main problem of them. Let's look at the other game. Here, well, Chess Life. So International Master is still playing. I'm not playing this tournament myself, of course. Well, I'm an organizer, so my task is to comment. However, guys, I recommend you all to participate in such events. Well, maybe you won't get the first prize, but at least it's a good experience for you. So, learning chess and not playing, here, white one, learning chess and not participating in the tournament isn't so good, well, isn't so effective. Okay, what about FIDE Master here? The position is slightly better for white. They have extra pawn. Their knight is slightly more active, but the king is too exposed. And white is also low on time. The pawn on c2 is a weakness. So I would say here both players have approximately equal chances, especially in case if white is low on time. Queen e4, yeah, passing the game into the endgame is a good idea, but how to protect the weakness on c2? Probably when the knight comes to e4, c3 can be played. So let's look at how it happens. Queen d2, king moved, and then the rook is lost. Yeah, so queen h1 was a mistake, and here white played it because they were low on time. They are trying to get some practical chances, but actually, in fact, the position is absolutely losing. Just a few checks from black, and they can optimize their rook, moving it to e4. And as the result, black won the game. What then? What else do we have? 3 games left. Here, well, black is definitely winning.
Well, yeah, king f7, that doesn't make much sense. I mean, bishop f7 doesn't make sense, just king takes. Okay, this game is almost over. What do we have? How many games? Well, yeah, this is the game that is over already. Yes, and well, this is the last one. Yeah, and actually it should be a draw, but white may play for a win. e5 should be played, of course. Okay, well, no, e5. So your task is to grab more space here. Of course, rook b6 and then e5, king f5, king f5, rook b7 here. And then what? e6? e6 doesn't do anything. f5. Here f5 is winning with the idea of e6. f6 to cut the king. This is what should be done. Oh, don't worry. So of course I am streaming this tournament with 50 seconds delay, so that's why they cannot listen to my recommendations and make the moves. You see here, well, yeah, looks like white doesn't know how to win such positions. No, white knows, actually. There was something I want to show you here. Well, yeah, now the game is completely winning for white, of course. They just play f7. F7, king g7. Well, this move. Rook e7, right? Then no, that's a mistake. Okay, let's go back. I want to show you something. So in this position, the game could end in a draw if only this check was delivered. King has to move back, and after f takes e6, it's equal. This is what black missed. However, it's obvious to miss it in seconds, when you have only seconds left. And as for this position, it's completely winning. It's FIDE draw position, and it's white move to play. Yeah, if the rook was here, the rook could be checking from behind. But you see? Okay, once again. So this is FIDE draw position, and here, if the pawn goes, well, okay, let's go back. So here, if rook, okay, king g6, well, no, let's check here. Yes, it can be a draw if this move was played, because then a rook starts checking from behind, and the king can successfully occupy this square and successfully block the pawn. This is what you can, for example, learn from my course devoted to rook and games. Let's make a few moves if I can. So, for example, these, then what? f7, I don't care. This, and then rook starts checking from behind, and the check, black just deliver either a perpetual check, or, for example, here when the king comes there, it's rook f1, and now the pawn is taken. So few times black misses a draw. What do we have else? Let's look at the standings. Here we have several people scored 2 points, which is good. Okay. Let's analyze it from the very beginning. Jack X playing against international master from India. It's a Scotch game. Queen e2, yeah. Knight e3, bishop e3 is correct. This everything according to the theory. f5, actually I'm not sure if, yeah, f5 such move is possible, but it's not the main move. Bishop b6, a takes b6. King b1 should be played in order to protect on a2, of course. Another option maybe, no, king b1 or a3. Any of these two. Rook a2 now. I think white just blundered it. King b1 should be played now. Yeah, but there is no discovered attack with this knight. So white just lost the pawn. Okay, let's look at the other game here. For example, this, where FIDE is playing against upwards and onwards. It's Rui Lopez. No, it came from Italian game. Oh, queen e2. So here g4 is too optimistic. Black is right playing d5. Knight g5. Well, that makes sense. They try to initiate the attack on the king side by playing h4. So the king is still in the center, but the attack on the king side looks really dangerous because h4, g5, and then what? h4, still h4. So then knight g5 here. Well, this that makes sense as well because it's a free pawn. Another option, h4 can be played. Bishop retreats to e3. Maybe d2. d2 works as well in order to castle queen side. That was another good idea actually. Queen e3. But what I don't like about white's position is that the queen enters their camp and black can simply exchange the queens. Oh, white decided to castle king side with the idea just to take the advantage of the extra pawn. That's okay. That makes sense. And in case if black wants to draw the game, the best way they can do it is to exchange queens and the rook pair and play a rook endgame. Because in the rook endgame, it's not, well, you can or sometimes you just cannot take the advantage of the extra pawn and win the game. Guys, I didn't ask you if the sound and video quality is good. Could you please let me know about it? So today everyone wants to play. There are almost no comments on YouTube. There are just a few on Twitch. Yeah, okay, thank you guys. So I kindly recommend to everyone to participate in such tournament, of course. If you are afraid to play Blitz, it's fine. You can, for example, suggest a longer tournament, 15 plus 10, or maybe a daily tournament. You can send your suggestions to my email, or actually to our email, which is school@chesslance.com, or another email, which is tricksofchess@gmail.com. So, okay, well, in this position, I think black has practical chances to draw the game, but I don't like queen e8, because if rook e7, oh my, that was a no, it wasn't. Okay, let's quickly look at what is happening on the first board. Black won. Yeah, black won, so bishop came to b3, it's a completely winning position. Let's quickly check it. So check, b5, here, c6, and c3 was played. Maybe it was a mouse slip. I think it was a mouse slip, actually. So now what happens on the second board? Well, actually it was the first board. What happens on the second board? Yeah, I think white has some practical chances to win the game because of the king weakness. For example, this move. And what then? If king d6, we can simply pass the game into the pawn endgame and successfully create a pass pawn. Because a pawn endgame with extra pawn is almost a victory. So you want a link to the tournament? Just a sec. I'll share it here. Yeah, if you want, you can still join, but you already missed 3 rounds. So what happened in this game? King f3. What then? Okay, let's open it once again. Well, it's okay. a5 was played. Queen, this move should win. Oh, yeah, let's go back. So, so it's the pawn endgame. Right. Yes, here white is playing properly. And this. But. So, yeah, here white is in time. Oh. Yeah, this move was okay. No, finally. Okay, finally white wins the game. Good. It was simple. I mean, the final part was simple. So, do we have any other games? Yes, we do. Well, this is a draw. What else do we have here? White is losing, but it's some precise play is required from black. So now it's only 1 pawn. Well, it's a draw. It should be a draw. And what about h3? No, that's a draw. It's of course a draw. Upcoming Grandmaster from Nigeria. Okay, it is a draw. Do we have any other games left? No. And we have 3 leaders now, upwards and onwards. International Master from India and Canadian player Dvaldeza. So round 4 starts. Yeah, okay. e4, e5, knight f3. Oh, it's a weird variation of Ruy Lopez. I forgot the name. I mean the name of this variation. It's actually quite modern, but I don't think that black has any advantage here. Yeah, knight g5 looks interesting. Here I believe black should play queen e8, and this is what they exactly did. How to play for white in this position? Maybe it makes sense to take and then bring the queen to h5 to exchange the queens and still attack the f7 square. But they have knight d8, of course, to protect it. However, I'm absolutely sure the endgame favors white. Okay, let's now quickly look at the second board, where 2 other leaders are playing. Italian game. h3, too early. Oh, well, it's not... so knight f6 was played, not knight c6. But it's gonna transpose to Italian game. c6, with the idea of playing d5, of course. So something like bishop b3 should be played. But I believe this deviation is more in black favor, So it's Vienna game, folk beer variation, h3. So I was playing Vienna game when I was younger, and what? What happened here? Just don't understand. White resigned? What for? Anyway, let me continue. So when I was younger, I was playing Vienna game, and d3 f4. This is what should be done here. Then f5 if possible, and then knight f3, and the kingside attack. So I don't understand what's the point, why they resigned. It's a pity. Okay, what do we have here? Let me refresh the page. And let's look at what happened. So knight g5, bishop e6. Well, this move deserves attention, but do you think it's really good to exchange this good bishop? I doubt. And what white achieved? Nothing. Even made their position worse. So f4, g5, g4 looks like a strong attack here. d5 makes sense as well because black is better developed here. I absolutely don't understand the logic of a white player. So, well, maybe here it's not so bad. Queen b3. I doubt that knight f4 was a good move, but I can hardly suggest a better option, because white is about to play bishop d2 and castle queenside. So moving the knight there, but it's useless. Probably something like that should be the best option, or just queen e6. And if bishop d2, you can play e4. That could probably be the best thing. Okay, anyway, let's look at what happened in the game. King d2, wow. So g5 or knight takes f3 first and then g5. This is what should be done. Bishop e5, just knight e2 is fine. Then the d4 with the pawn, knight goes, rook goes to e1, the king is relatively safe, and the knight can just get to d3, and white is okay here. Okay, what other games do we have here? This one. It was Italian game. d3, h6, yeah, just a classical one. Bishop e3. Well, bishop e3 doesn't offer any advantage for white. So how to play? Rook e1, a4, and then depends on how black plays. It can be either a d6 or d5. If d5, you take on d5, of course. If it's d6, then you react with c3. Please keep it in mind every time you play Italian game. Yeah, c3 is a good idea, and here e5 is a kind of a weak pawn. Queen b3. So you see bishop e6 here cannot be played, because then bishop takes bishop. For example, rook takes bishop and the b7 pawn is hanging. a5 is a good move. Knight goes there, and white tries to attack. Okay, bishop h3, well, looks quite suspicious. How to play here? Well, it's a good question. Probably knight f4, or b6, or b5, which is absolutely the same. Okay, so yeah, but how to attack? There is no compensation. Here black is mistaken. Well, bishop f7 at least. Rook f8, well, bishop retreats. h4 is another clever move, because this move doesn't open the position, and you know, if you don't want your king to be attacked with the enemy rooks, you should keep the position of the king closed. Okay, let's now go back to the first game where black won. So you remember here, this position is fine. So if you, for example, yeah, queen c4 is a bad move. Knight e2 should be played, and I would say the position is approximately equal. Black is just slightly better. Well, actually, the engine tells us that knight d5 is the best move and white is slightly better. Can you believe it? And my idea to play knight e2 isn't the best. It's still not a big problem for white. No, d4 isn't a good move here, actually. This is what should we play. Then d4. Okay, anyway, let's look at what happened in the game. Queen c4 and just b5. This tactical motive is called distraction. The queen is distracted and nobody else is, well, distraction or annihilation of defense. The queen is defending this knight, and if black gets rid of the queen, the knight is hanging. So, for example, in case of queen b4, c5 can be played, and the queen has to leave the fourth rank, leaving this knight on f4 hanging. They play knight g6, but it didn't make much sense. Here, even the queen is trapped. Okay, congratulations to black. We have only 3 games. This is where white is playing for a win. The g4 is hanging, so yeah, this position is absolutely winning for white. Of course, king f5. This is not a good move because the bishop can block them. However, it's still a winning position. The task is only to control these squares with the knight. And of course, bring the king then. Well, yeah, now knight comes there or knight comes there. Both lines are fine. King d5. King d5, check here. It's not a Zugzwang actually. Now king comes to f6, and this is the winning plan. Of course. That's it. Okay. This game is still progressing. This is okay. Black can practically make a draw, especially if white makes a mistake. G6, knight e7 here. G6, knight, yeah, knight e7, and it is a draw. Knight f8. Knight f8, knight b7. Oh, it's not. Okay, it's not a draw actually. White is winning. I'm absolutely mistaken here. Yeah, knight b7 is a mate. Let's look at this in game once again. So here, king goes there. If, for example, knight captures pawn, it's king c7 and promotion with a check. King d8, g5. Yeah, white calculated everything properly. So we have 2 leaders from India, international master and legend in unknown. Oh, we can look. Okay, there is also information. No, there is no FIDE rating, but we can quickly go to a rating list and check his FIDE rating. Yeah, probably. Okay, this is who we are looking for. And his standard rating is almost 2400. Okay, good. So they play against each other, and again it's Rui Lopez. d4, wow, nobody plays d4 here. It's a rare move. So here the main move is rook e1, of course. d4, d6, c3. So here the pawn is not hanging because of bishop d5. Bishop g4, h3, bishop f3, and in case if you decide to capture with the queen, it's e takes d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, and white loses the pawn. That's why white captures with the pawn. Queen d7, king h2, protecting on h3, castle, and rook g1. White initiates an attack on the g file, and actually this is what can compensate double pawns on the f file. King h8, bishop e3, then a knight d2, and all of the pieces are developed. Of course, I don't like the position of the knight on d2, but it can go to f1, g3, f5, but maybe it's too slow. At the moment, well, I think white should double with their rooks on the g file. Well, maybe something like a4 to start on the other flank. This bishop is not participating in the game, so it makes sense to activate it. Bishop c2. Well, it's against f5, of course. Another thing white can do is to play f4. f4, knight takes f4, bishop takes f4, e takes f4, and queen comes to h5. Looks pretty dangerous. No. Well, now bishop f4 should be played because the h3 pawn is hanging. The only other chance to defend it is queen f1. But I think queen f1 is too passive. Knight is really bad and requires improvement. g5, so g5 should be played. Rook g4 was actually too optimistic in my opinion. Okay, so those who want to join, yeah, let me show, close it. This is the link. But that's actually too late. 4 rounds are played already. Oh, let's actually look at the second game. Maximus' brother is playing against FIDE Master Larry. So white plays with a rook versus 2 minor pieces, and of course it's still the full board of pieces here. Queen, oh, so there is no attack, and now black has the advantage because 2 minor pieces are better than a rook usually. King c7. So now the task is to coordinate these 2 bishops in order to achieve something. At the same time, I believe white is trying to play a5, create a pass pawn. And well, I think it's a good idea, a5, but everything should be calculated. So rook a8, a6, and let's say bishop c8. The pawn is hanging and probably lost. So a5 right now is a mistake, right? Because a6 and bishop c8. Bishop c8. How to save the pawn? I have no ideas. Bishop takes a6. Now black is completely winning, especially if you look at the timing. White only has 20 seconds left. Okay, let's go back and check what else happens. What about this first board? What is happening here? Let me refresh the page. It's the end game already. And black is playing for a win here. Black pieces are more active. Something like g4 can be played at a certain moment of the game. Yeah. g4, but f takes g4 and the knight gets to the center. With the idea of knight e4, because if the king goes to e6 to protect the pawn, it's a discovered attack. Yes, play knight e4. This is a good move. Chasing the king back to g7 or f7. Okay, here. Well, something... No, well, no, knight g5. It restricts the knight. a4. Good. And maybe c4. No, bishop b7 is good as well in order to attack. But then what? Rook a1? No, rook a1 can be played. I understand why this move was played. Let me quickly show you. So here, another thing is this and this. So now I think white is playing for a win. Knight a4. Bishop takes a3, rook takes a3. Oh no. Threatening. There is no threat. So probably knight b5. This pawn should be sacrificed. Rook c5. Well, bishop f2 check. And then this. No, this move doesn't work. Well, king f5. So bishop f2 finally. Oh, no. This move. And then just rook b2 is enough. Yes, but after rook b7, this and the pawn is lost, unfortunately. So it should be a draw, in my opinion. Let me show you something. So here, knight e4, rook b2 here, right? So if that was an intermediate move here. Oh, sorry. I'll show you later after the game finishes. Black is playing for a win, but I don't think it's a winning position. It should be a draw. Because white's task is just to sacrifice the knight for that pawn, and that should be enough. But it's blitz, everything may happen. Yeah, it should be a draw. King d4, rook f3, and this is a draw. theoretical. Oh, knight c4. Knight c4 was a fork, but king. No, it didn't work. Yeah, it's an interesting game, and let me show you what could happen. Rook d5 here, and then king f4. It's still a draw. King f4, rook h4. It's a good idea to keep the king cut off. Then knight d5, knight f4 at least. Knight g4 works as well. White is playing for a win, but it's a theoretical draw, so probably we have to wait for 50 moves. Of course, white wants to provoke black to make a mistake. Now the rook can cut the king off again. d6, check, king c7. Okay, it's likely to end in a draw, but let me show you something. How can I show you? Here, if I click live analysis, fine. So that's okay. Instead, for example, this, and this, and black is playing for a win. However, black decided to attack f2, and here knight e4, rook, yes, that rook b2 is correct. Knight f2 here. First I think this check should be delivered. The only available square is to move the king to e2. Then f3 they just sacrificed the bishop, so it didn't work. Sorry, I thought it works, but it didn't. Maybe there was a better way to avoid this fork. So knight c3. Maybe rook d4, rook d4, rook a5. Yeah, rook d4, rook a5. So rook d4 didn't work. Rook a5, rook c4, rook c5, rook takes c5, knight e4. But it's quite difficult to win with two minor pieces after g3. Okay, so bishop f2. Well, what about king f5, first of all? King f5, bishop c8, or what? This move? Well, this move is actually good. Yeah, that's right. So then, this move cannot be played right away. It's still knight e4. So bishop f2 there. And then rook b2 should be played. That's the best option. Knight e4, king still has to move. It's the same. Okay, so let's look at how the game ended. White wins. How did that happen? Somehow white delivered the checkmate. I see. So yeah, because this position of the rook is quite passive. The rook should deliver checks to the king to avoid a checkmate. Okay, what do we have? the round. Oh, play. So yeah, we have only one leader and two people. Oh, several. 5 people scored 4 of 5. So the next round, FIDE Master Larry against International Master Legend in Unknown, and it's Hungarian Defense. Here at Chess.com says it's Italian game, 2 knights, modern bishops opening, but don't believe them, don't trust Chess.com. In this case, it's actually Hungarian Defense, quite a typical way of how to play against Italian. Usually knight goes to g8, not to h7, but h7 is probably okay. Let me quickly explain how you should play against it. Here, knight g5 doesn't look like a good move. Here, you should play knight c3 and a5, a6. If I'm not missing anything. And rook e1, of course. Yeah, these are important moves. And I can quickly show, if possible, I can quickly show. So h3 here, rook e1. How to... No, Explorer, this is... So let's go back. And let me tell you how to play against it. d6, here h3 is okay, king h8. No, this move should be played. And then knight g8, knight c3, f5. This move, if I'm not mistaken, they play knight f6, so don't take the bishop. And in this position, if I'm not mistaken, this is where knight g5 should be played. Yeah, that's right. And here the logic is, if this move is played, you can sacrifice on h7 in order to deliver a checkmate. And if they play h6, I don't remember exactly, but it's okay to retreat if I'm not mistaken. Let's ask the engine. Yeah, here, and knight f7 then, of course. So after this move, they probably can do this, but, well, it's a terrible move. Queen h5 is just a checkmate. So, yeah, you see, I'm right. After knight d5, it's knight h7 the best. Now you know how to deal with Hungarian defense. Okay, let's close it. What do we have in the game? f5, so they pass the game into the end game, and the bishop here isn't so good. Queen takes queen, and e takes f5 in order to keep the bishop more active. a5, probably. White should play d5, I think, or take that rook. Then the pawn on c4 is a weakness, or maybe c5. Okay, let's look at what happens on the second board. Here black is winning actually. Oh, no, not really. Black needs to capture this pawn. But then rook d7 isn't a big problem, I think. Well, actually, rook h3, yeah, this move is good. What's then? Rook d8, bishop e5, maybe. It's a more prophylaxis for the king. An escape square, a luft. The main problem is that black is low on time. So rook d7 doesn't make sense because of king c6, of course. Black is long. Move the rook. Oh, or the king. Now king c6 should be... king c8. Knight b6. Well, knight b6 is a checkmate. Oh my god. It's because black was low on time, of course. Okay, what else do we have? The first game, c3. Supporting the pawn center. Well, that was probably the best solution. Instead of my idea of playing c5, which isn't actually so good. These two pawns are weaknesses, and this is how black takes the chance to capture them. Probably the game can end in a draw, but they both spent... Okay, let's refresh the page. Oh. So the bishop can be trapped simply here. Yeah, that's a blunder. But then rook takes d5. However, rook may take on c3. b4, right? Yeah, this pawn is more important. Now white needs to exchange this pawn, and that will be a theoretical draw. Okay, let's look at what's going on here. F4 doesn't work. Now f4 does. Yeah, f4. F4 check on b3. No. This move, but they take. Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, threatening the mate. g2 is hanging now. Unfortunately, white is losing. a2. And that's it. Yeah, okay. So are there, okay, only this game. But here white is absolutely losing. Oh, this move. So here, this. That's it. Okay. Now let's look at the standings. Before the final round, we have legend in unknown who scored 6 of 6, 100%, and 2 players who scored 5 of 6, and all of them are from India. And a few other players. Okay. Okay, so let's look at the final round. What? It's equal. Okay, bishop g5. What else do we have? What about this? I believe, oh, it's what's the opening? So it's a knight sacrifice. I've heard about this opening. It's Halloween Gambit, and it's considered to be better for black. But maybe in terms of playing blitz, it may work. What about this game? Scotch game. So you see here a lot of players prefer playing e4, e5 positions. I don't know why, because I wouldn't play e4. I would play e4, but in case I actually prefer to play open Sicilians. e4, e5 can be too boring, especially if it's an Italian game or close to Ruy Lopez position. However, if you are a good player, you have to play. You have to know how to play everything. Okay, so what happened here? Let's refresh the page. Queen f5. Yeah, white is better. f4. So if this move, it's probably rook g5. Oh, knight takes f4. There is no other option. Queen f5. No, doesn't make much sense. Well, rook g6. It's with the idea to provoke black to capture on f4. Okay, so here looks like white just repeats the position in order to draw the game and to get the first place. Rook g6. Okay, good idea. Knight f4, bishop f4, then rook takes f4, and rook a to g8. That's right, to pressure here. But it cannot take because of queen h6. That's the point. So queen f5 to improve the position, to exchange queens, but then rook f5, but then queen g3. So this is what white should do. So queen e5, queen e5, f takes e5, rook. This move. Well, maybe, why not? Let's look at the other games. Here, the game for the second place, I think. So white is still down a piece, but has some strong initiative with these pawns. However, it's not clear how black... Well, white has the initiative, yeah. Black has some real problems. Well, this move, knight goes where? c3 probably. c3 should be played. Knight takes f5, but that's fine. Now, knight f5 should be played, of course. And what about bishop e5? Or not bishop, rook e5. Yeah, exactly. Now black is playing for a win. Bishop takes e5 and then d4 pawn dies. Or g3. I would maybe take the g3. Here rook takes d4, right? Okay, it's clear black is winning here. What about the first? What did happen here? Oh, black successfully defends their position. The problem is that the black is low on time. And what's then? After g takes f5. Looks like white is winning. There is no need actually to play a g takes f5 right away. This move can be played later. And now, yeah, that's fine. It's enough to exchange. Yeah, rook takes f5, and this is absolutely winning position. King f4, and then these. Okay, this game is clear. What else do we have? Let's look at the third. This one. White is playing for a draw, but this is a losing position, of course. Knight d5, so interference. King e4. What then? Makes sense. King goes there, it's fine. Knight d5 now, and knight takes f4. Or rook takes f4 with a check is better, actually. Knight e6 and rook g7. That's the winning move. Rook g7. Knight g5. Well, yes, but now you have to win this game. And actually here it was better to block. It's still a winning position. King c6, rook d6. a5, right? Rook c6, king c5. No, rook c6 should be played. No, this is clearly a mistake because of this move. King c7, king c6, so you have to restore your activity. Check and a4. Check was important. The king is cut off. That's the problem. It's actually not so easy to win the game now for black, because the king is cut off. So you need to move the rook back. Okay, what else do we have? I think this is the most interesting game. So king c7, a rook here and rook there. This is what should be done. Well, what happens? Let's refresh the page. Rook. No, the king. You should join the king. And white should restrict the king, of course. Oh, king b3, rook b2. Yeah, rook b2. It's a stalemate. It was a desperado. So this rook was a desperado because the king is checkmated. It's a pity. Okay, so let's look at the tournament table. We have winners and two people who scored the fifth and the fourth and the fifth place. So international master from India, legend in unknown, scored 100%, upwards and onwards scored the second place with 6 of 7. Vadim Khachaturov from Armenia scored 5 of 7, together with FM Larry and Chess for Life. So Vadim got the third place and FM Larry the fourth, Chess for Life the fifth. And of course I'm going to check every game, I mean all the games that were played by leaders for cheating. However, I'm sure they were not cheating. Anyway, I will check it, and tomorrow I will announce I will announce the results, and will ask you to provide me with your payment details. Also, we'll ask a few more questions about how you enjoyed the tournament, why you decided to join, and so on, about your progress in chess, and maybe something else you would like to share about. Okay guys, thank you for coming for the tournament. There were not so many players, and my congratulations to winners, and thank you for everyone who came either to play or just to watch. See you next Sunday on our next event. I will announce it, and those who got